He asks to see his son.
Thanks, sweetheart. I really appreciate that.
Hey, I didn't tell him you were here. And call me sweetheart one more time, I'd really like that.
See if I ever coerce you into traveling 6,000 miles again. He goes in, despite not wanting to.
I thought you'd be fatter.
And you thought Esri's mom was a problem. You had no idea.
See something?
What are you doing? Take your hands off of me!
Pupils are good.
If he tries checking Peter for a hernia, he's going to get punched in the face. Well, that family bonding is done. Dr. Bishop can now state that in order to treat the condition, he first needs to see it in person to assess exactly what he's dealing with and how far it has progressed. This is down to Peter accepting being his legal guardian, who absolutely does not want to do that. But she says she is prepared to screw him over right this second if he doesn't. If you're curious, we eventually find out that he owes money to the mob. That's why he's willing to put up with this bullshit to this degree. As bad as Daddy McGrabby Hands is, it's better than being beaten half to death with a baseball bat. On the way, when asked about anyone familiar with his work, he said Belly is. No, despite that name, he is not fat either. That's just Bishop's nickname for William Bell, founder of a huge company that's into science stuff. No need to be more specific than that with this show. Remember, the U.S. Army paid Bishop to do whatever he frickin' felt like. It's very likely that Bell owns the Corporation of Science Stuff Industries. Why didn't Bishop ever do something like that?
Oh!
What? What happened?
I just pissed myself.
Excellent.
Just a squirt.
Guess there's some things that even fringe science can't cure. So, Scott's only hope is brought in, and after getting him to stop staring at the light long enough to look at the patient, there's a bit of nervousness when he grabs a scalpel. I mean, very rarely has anyone ever said, the best choice right now is to give that mental patient a knife. He scrapes off some of that gelatin skin and puts it in a petri dish.
I need to take this to my lab right away.
Your lab. Yes, it's a lucky thing I keep my personal helicopter in my pocket at all times. When they point out that he no longer has a lab, unless you want to count the shoebox under his bed that he wrote mass spectrometer on, he has a conniption. Well, there is only one thing left to do. Dunham has to go to Broyles, a man who doesn't like her in the first place, to explain that she needs to restore the lab and equipment of Dr. Bishop because she sprung him from his psychiatric hospital, and he needs a place to analyze the dish full of white stuff that is definitely not his own semen. How can Broyles possibly say no?
So much happened here. And so much is about to.
Yes, that's what scares me. He has a shopping list including stuff from NASA, anonymous blood samples, and a cow. So, a science montage happens as the lab is set up, the samples are analyzed, and the livestock is brought in. And Peter finally learns there's no file on him. It was all a bluff. How's your week going, Pete? Anyway, Bishop says that he thinks the plane attack was based on work done fighting the Viet Cong, but dealing with Scott will be tricky because he was likely hit with a mix of raw ingredients, not the finished product, so they don't know what to treat him with. Problem is, they've no idea what was in there and no idea what the suspect looks like. The only one who saw it is, in a coma right now and looking like something in the fridge you'd throw away and wonder why you ever bought it in the first place. Well, don't worry, everyone. The mental patient has a solution. All Dunham has to do is enter Scott's dreams, and he can show her what the suspect looks like. Yep. Would you like fries with that? Yeah, that sounds insane, but don't worry. It gets worse.
Have you done this before?
I have used this technique to extract information from a corpse once.
I admit I got an X-Files vibe off this show, but this is the moment when I pictured Mulder slowly turning to Scully as if to say, get a load of this fruitcake.
He wants to give you a drug overdose, then stick a metal rod into your head and put you naked into a rusty tank of water.
No, I don't want to. No, I'd rather not. I'm just saying I can.
That's a hair that really doesn't need splitting. So Scott is brought over so she can enter his dreams, and while we wait, Agent Francis arrives to say that William Bell is hard to get a hold of, seeing as he's the head of a gajillion-dollar company. Scott only has 24 hours, so if somehow, I know it's hard to fathom, but if somehow the plan to enter the comatose man's dreams fails, we're going to need to talk to Belle to see if there's a backup option. And how bad is the backup option if this is plan A? I'm pretty sure that's what they used in Spock's brain. So, now to pump her full of LSD and toss her in a rusty tank. Not to worry, Bishop's all over this.
Yeah, I'm Astrid Farnsworth, assistant to Agent Dunham.
Who?
I'll forget my own name next.
I'm Walter.
Bishop, Walter Bishop.
Yes, thank you.
Don't mention it.
Now, make sure to record everything. I want to be able to give a thorough briefing to President Carter when he arrives. After a while, she appears in a junkyard, a cemetery, a stormy desert, and other cheery environments, until Scott finally appears. After a little dream smooching, she prompts him to remember the guy who blew him up, and now she can get pulled out of the tank. The detective work finished.